And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another STEM Women Hangout on Air. And today we're joined by Erin and Sam from the Google IT RP program, which stands for Information Technology Residency Program. So let's dive right in and talk to Erin first. Erin, your background is in IT support, and you're now the manager of ITRP. Can you tell us a bit what ITRP is and how it works?
Sure. Hi, I'm Erin. Like Buddhini said, I'm one of the IT Residency Program managers. I'm based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I've been managing technicians who are in this role for about 3 years, and I helped to start the remote support branch of this program. Just as some background, I started as an IT support technician here in Ann Arbor, so I've been in the IT field for about 7 years, working at Google for about as long. So, just to get you some background on ITRP, it is a 26-month fixed-term rotation program based out of Mountain View, California, New York City, Dublin, and also Ann Arbor, Michigan, and Sydney, Australia. It is an immersion program into IT, providing a deep foundation to jumpstart people's IT careers. Our mission is to provide an exceptional level of support to Google employees and to empower the next generation of IT professionals. It provides opportunities for travel and for working with other teams. We've built in structured training, and residents are educated by industry experts who are already working here to get up to speed quickly. There are 2 tracks. So the first track is Field Tech Resident, based out of Mountain View, New York, and Dublin. They focus on in-person support in some of our largest offices. In this role, residents will act as liaisons between technical and non-technical groups. They support Google's infrastructure and internal services. They have 2 long-term rotations. One will be in another Google office for 3 months. US or abroad, learning and supporting local infrastructure and employees, and also a 3-month rotation with another operations team. So that might include networking, development, site reliability engineering, and systems administration. The second track is the corporate support technician role out of Ann Arbor and Sydney. And in this role, residents focus on remote global support. Gives residents exposure to a lot of different range of issues for all Google employees across the world. They're in a really unique position to analyze all the incoming global support requests and to sort of see trends and understand what's going on globally. And they also are given the opportunity to rotate with other teams, travel to other offices, and spend some time working with coworkers across the globe.
That sounds really cool, the travel capabilities as well, because we were talking to you just before we went on air, and you're telling us about all the places you've been to as well. I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, the travel definitely sold it for a lot of the people on my team. You know, the opportunity to go visit Sydney, Australia, or to go to Dublin, to go work in New York for a week, that kind of thing.
So, Sam, you've actually come up through the program, and you're now working as an engineer at Google. What are some of the projects you've been able to work on while at Google through the ITR program?
Yeah, so I'll also give my little background spiel. So I came to Google right out of college. I attended UC Berkeley for my undergrad and studied computer science, and jumped right into the IT residency program at Google in Mountain View. And yeah, and I've been at Google for now almost 2 years. So I spent the first 18 months of my time at Google in the program. Yeah, so while I was in the program, I worked on a variety of more software engineering-oriented projects. I helped build some tools that we used internally within our own organization at Google, and helped make the life of all of my coworkers that do support at Google a lot easier. Helping to manage some of the travel is one example that Erin was talking about. Helping to also make it easier to coordinate all of the different support efforts that we have in our various offices. And then also, as Erin mentioned, part of the program is a rotation on a different team. And so for that, I actually rotated to the team I now am permanently on, which is the Gmail front-end site reliability engineering team, where I'm a software engineer. So while I was in the IT residency program, I spent a quarter with them, and I helped tackle some of their operational workload that goes with running a large Google-scale production service. And I also helped with various, a lot of operational projects, but also some software engineering and coding projects that I've gotten to continue working on kind of throughout the rest of my time in the ITR program, and then as I transitioned into that role full time.
It's really cool that you've had the experience, sorry, Buddhini, of working sort of on back end and front end projects.
Yeah. It really was a doing software development in the IT residency program kind of since we're not it operates a little bit differently than the user-facing products that Google builds, but it also gave me a lot more leeway to kind of work on different pieces of these tools and get exposure to a lot of different ways of doing web application development. So that was really cool.
So yeah, and I was going to just say that in the IT residency program, techs work on a lot of different things, not just development projects, there's all kinds of different things. I actually also manage our internal documentation system. So I have a lot of residents who work on my team to help write our user-facing technical documentation to help solve your own problems so that you don't have to call tech support, which is a big time saver for Googlers and for Google in general. But I mean, there's a wide variety of different projects that people work on. Anything from automation to doing things like writing rules to help automate how tickets, internal support requests get routed from one team to another, which for the most part really isn't from a development perspective coding, it's just manipulating rules to make sure that things get sent to the right place. There's been a lot of really cool projects that have come out of ITRP, and people with all different backgrounds have worked on them.
That's awesome.
So are residents able to choose these different projects, or is that assigned? I'm just curious.
How about you, Sam?
Yeah, so it's definitely, residents are kind of, it's not really handed to you, a project isn't handed to you, it's more that once you kind of get settled into how the organization works and you get familiar with your kind of day-to-day expectations, you tend to hear about other projects that are interesting and things that you would like to help work on. And because the ITR program is geared towards new grads who are still kind of figuring out what they want to do after the ITR residency program, there's a lot of expectation and opportunities for you to kind of try out different types of projects and see how Google operates beyond just kind of core support directly for Googlers and kind of more behind the scenes. Some of the other areas that people work on are networking infrastructure, some security projects, a lot of event support, audiovisual stuff. There are a lot of different teams that do things for kind of to make Google run effectively beyond first-line support. And definitely those teams have a lot of ITRs that have gone and worked on projects with them.
So if you could speak personally, how do you feel you have benefited personally from being a part of ITRP?
Yeah, so as I said, this was my first job after college, and so it was also my first real exposure to working in the tech industry. I didn't do internships outside of. I worked at my university support organization while I was in college, but I didn't work for any industry while I was in school. This was my first exposure to kind of the tech industry, and being able to jump into that, jump into Google right out of school was really, really beneficial. In a couple ways, it gave me a lot of ways to kind of figure out how I wanted to proceed after the IT residency program, and what direction I wanted to take my career after the program, and kind of allowed me to explore various different parts of tech that I was interested in, all within the confines of the same program, which was really cool.
So, Erin, I wanted to ask you from a managerial perspective, how do you think that the ITR program benefits women?
Well, I would say that, ITR creates opportunities for everybody. It removes the barrier to entry traditionally found in STEM careers. This is an entry-level role for people who just are leaving the university, people who haven't really had a lot of experience in the industry yet, people who may not have even had a traditional IT or computer science background. I didn't come through this program as a resident. I joined it as a manager. However, I didn't have a traditional IT background. I actually had a business degree and a Spanish degree, which I don't think I speak Spanish anymore, so it didn't really help me. But over the years, just seeing people who have entered this program with psychology degrees, and one of them had a neuroscience degree, like people who have had the ability to develop their careers without having really that traditional background, it casts a really wide net. And since it is, a rotational program, they get a chance to work with other teams and see what it's like to, rotate with an SRE group or work in networking or, do some programming. Some people who join this team, don't even have any kind of experience writing programs, but by the time they leave here, they already have what we call readability, which is, like they're trusted reviewers of other people's code. So, it's an inclusive environment. We look for people who are, who are diverse across all of, the different things that you would look for, race, cultural backgrounds, all that kind of thing, and gender, of course. But we also welcome different perspectives and ideas, which I think is really important to making sure that our products are great, which is what makes Google awesome. And also, I would like to say that, women who join the IT residency program have strong professional models. Like me being one of them, I'm a female manager in IT, which is something you don't see every day. And I also have not my manager, but my manager's manager, the head of our org, is also a female engineer who has risen up the ranks, who serves as a great example of, seeing a woman in a leadership role who's got that technical background, who can really, walk the walk and talk the talk. And also, Google has a huge presence at the Grace Hopper Celebration for Women in Computing. I went last year, and I'm going again this year, and it's a really great way to integrate ourselves with more women out there and to show them that we definitely have diversity here.
It's cool to hear that you're bringing in other disciplines and perspectives and blending that with the IT and engineering backgrounds.
Definitely. And also, we I don't know if you know, but we have a US-based IT internship program, which is in its second year. And it's geared towards those who are historically underrepresented in the field. And although our summer, roles have been filled, we're going to be opening another opportunity starting in December for those who are pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree, completed in December 2015 to August 2017. Qualifications are really similar to ITRP, experience in all the major platforms, degrees in IS, information technology, applied networking, that kind of thing. But it's definitely, Google is opening up doors for people, across all walks of life to get involved and get excited about IT and stay in careers in IT.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be sure to post links to all the resources that Erin mentioned on our website when we write up about this hangout as well. So Sam, in your opinion, what are some of the challenges associated with being a woman in tech, and how does the ITRP help you deal with them?
Yeah, so as Erin mentioned, there's so many female role models at Google within the tech field, and that was something I didn't actually even realize was challenging before I got to Google. In my CS program in school, there weren't a ton of role models, and once I got to Google and started in the ITR program, and eventually my manager was a woman, and as Erin said, the director of our whole organization is a woman, and that really helped me kind of envision what a path for my career could look like, and gave me kind of a lot more confidence in navigating the tech industry.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say that being a female in IT hasn't ever really been a big deal. Like, I haven't really found that I feel like an outsider. Google is such an inclusive company. I've been here 7 years, and yeah, I noticed that I'm one of the few females that over the years, but that number of females grows over year. But one of the great things about working here is that there's so much diversity, not just male to female, but all different cultures. So I never feel like I'm an outsider, which I've never really worked anywhere else in an IT company, but I imagine it isn't that way everywhere. But yeah, definitely, I don't think that I personally have met any challenges because of being a woman in IT.
Thank you. So Sam, what are the special training that you've received, or the skills and experiences that that you can talk about that young women might also consider if they want to try and prepare for something like the ITR program?
Yeah, so my personal path was a mix of kind of my education. I studied computer science, and I had spent some time in high school also doing programs that were technical. Um, but also my student job while I was in college was also pretty similar to what I ended up doing in the ITR program. But for the students that lived in the dorms, I helped with running the internet service inside Berkeley's student housing, and that was a mix of tech support and also working with other students in a very similar way. So I would say though that there isn't really one path that a lot of people that end up in the ITR program take. A lot of people do have the educational background. A lot of people also had liberal arts degrees that ended up working in IT in some way and got experience that way and found out that they really liked it. But the common denominator, I think, is just kind of a passion for technology and an intellectual curiosity about technology, and being able, specifically for this program, being able to interact with people, have kind of a strong customer service skill set, and be able to quickly kind of narrow down what kinds of problems you're dealing with, in addition to being able to work with the people who are experiencing these problems. And there are so many different ways that you could end up with those skills. But yeah, education and prior experience are definitely two of those.
Yeah, I definitely second that. Like working in your college computing lab or any other kind of like hands-on IT experience is really key. I did a couple years internship doing tech support, and I think without that, I probably wouldn't have had the skill set I needed to do the job here, just because I didn't have that traditional background. But even if I had, I think that would have really come in handy, because seeing a problem in real life and being able to figure out what's wrong and trying to solve things, process of elimination and trial and error is really important to helping yourself understand how these things work. And I don't think you get that out of a textbook all the time, so I would definitely recommend anybody who's interested in STEM careers to find that opportunity, an internship, a co-op, a summer job, whatever it is. But definitely, if your college has a computing lab, like start there, because that's where I've found a lot of people on my team have started, and it's been really valuable experience for them.
I think that we kind of talked briefly off here that there are some. I think people think that getting into Google, it's obviously quite competitive, but that you need to be doing something extraordinary. But as you're saying, as long as you're working in the field and can demonstrate that your skills are transferable, I'm sure that it sounds like that's what you're saying you're looking for.
Yeah, definitely. People who are really passionate about technology and are intellectually curious and who are great problem solvers tend to be some of the best candidates when I interview them. So I would say that having some of that experience is definitely important, but showing that you really do care, that you're really interested in this kind of work, and that you like working with people is definitely key, because you're not sitting behind a computer all day and only working with code. You are actually in front of people and helping them solve their technical problems, and it definitely is important that you want to help people solve their technical problems.
How competitive is the ITRP? I'm just thinking if there's someone watching this who's thinking, do I have a shot at getting in? Can you tell us a bit about that?
I don't have any metrics for competitiveness, but I would say if you're interested, apply. It's one of those things where most people who apply for Google, and I think Sam could probably back me up here, you put in that application thinking there's no way I'm going to get a call back, and then you're always surprised when you do. Especially with this, it's a graduate program, postgraduate program, so people who are applying to this role, we're looking for people who don't have a ton of experience. We're looking for people who have recently graduated within the past 2 years. So if you don't think you have a shot, apply anyway, because, yeah, of course there's a limited number of spots, but it's not that, don't count yourself out before you even try.
Yeah, you have nothing to lose, so why not try?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And is it, I mean, you mentioned that you've got several programs running in different cities. Can people all over the world apply for them?
Yeah, definitely. There's obviously eligibility regarding your work visa and that kind of thing in the country that you're applying for. But our recruiting team can help you sort that out. So apply, and if you have any questions, the recruiting team can help you.
Awesome. And so can you tell us a bit about some other programs that Google might be running that women can also try out for?
There are so many of them that if I tried to list them all, I would probably get all their names jumbled. So I'm just going to tell you that if you're a student, you can explore technical and non-technical opportunities at google.com/jobs/students. And that's your best place to start. Every year we have different programs, different scholarships. So by the time this video is on YouTube for a year, if I say any of them now, it'll probably not exist anymore. But just so you guys know, the jobs are definitely out there on the student site.
So can I just jump in? Obviously been a non-technical person. So what are some of the non-technical roles that women might like to look into? I know you said you can't name specific programs, but just generally speaking.
Well, at Google there's a wide variety of roles across all different departments. So, we have summer internships here in Ann Arbor. Our gold interns, they work in our sales and marketing teams. There are roles in, I believe, People Ops, which is our team that does like staffing and that kind of thing, human resource, that kind of area. But yeah, I mean, there's just a really wide variety of different, like Google doesn't just do software development, like we have all kinds of functions. So if you really think about it, like, really the sky's the limit. Like we have all kinds of different roles at Google, and a lot of them are open for people who have recently graduated.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a little bit earlier about, if you're interested, just apply for it. Can you tell anyone who's watching what's the process? How do you apply for the ITRP?
Yeah, I mean, the same starting point as all the other roles, google.com/jobs/students, and you'll find the role under IT Residency Program. But yeah, that's the best place to start, and then you submit your application, and I think you'll get an automated email, and then you'll hear back from a recruiter.
And it's twice a year, you said?
Yeah, we do hire for ITRP twice a year. That is because it's a fixed term program, so it's sort of like we hire sort of like you do with school. You do it in semesters, kind of.
Okay. And yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything we wanted to ask you guys. Did you want to add anything? Any last words? Sam?
Sky's the limit. If you're interested, you should apply. Don't cut yourself short before you've even started. So
definitely, and don't be afraid of working in an environment like Google where it seems like it's competitive, but we're all here to support each other. This is the kind of environment where people learn and grow. It's a development program. It's a learning program. You're here. This is 26 months, so you're here during that time to get fully immersed in IT and to pursue your passions and to work with other groups of people who are interested in the same thing as you are. There's training, there's opportunities for working on projects. Sam talked about some of them earlier. It's definitely a place that, it's a safe place to be. So I highly encourage anybody who's, hesitant to consider applying for the role.
Thanks. So, and look, one thing that I was thinking about was, obviously we've got Sam as an example. So, programs like this obviously build up your skills over the year and a half. But you're looking to, it's a way to get into a career in Google, correct? You're trying to retain the people who work on these programs.
I mean, the goal is to build people's IT skills and make them, to make them great technical generalists. The goal isn't necessarily for those people to stay at Google forever. It's really up to the individual and how they learn and grow and develop and what opportunities they create for themselves. But it's definitely a plus. I mean, I love being able to see former ITRs still walking down the halls at Google when I visit Mountain View or New York or even here in Ann Arbor. But, it's not a conversion track necessarily. It isn't like, that's not the end goal of it. The end goal is to make you awesome at IT.
Okay, I think that pretty much covers everything that we wanted to ask. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And we'll see everyone in 2 weeks' time when we have another STEM Women Hangout. We'll be talking to Professor Julia Greer, who's a materials scientist, and we'll talk about her exciting 3D nanomaterial architecture. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.